It's the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All the sports news you need every day in under 20 minutes. Follow Locked On today on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts. Your Locked On Flyers, your daily podcast on the Philadelphia Flyers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, and welcome to the Locked On Flyers podcast for Friday, August 27th, your daily dose of Flyers news, analysis, and high-quality content that is right with Chuck Fletcher when he said in yesterday's press conference, "I cannot live through another year like last season. It took years off my life." True words, Chuck, true words. Follow the podcast on Twitter at Locked On Flyers to keep up to date on all the Flyers news, our episodes, all that good stuff. You can also email the show at lockedonflyers@gmail.com. I am your host, Rachel Donner. You can find me on Twitter at rmiriam. Who are this season's top 50 NHL players? Find out on the Locked On NHL podcast. Joe DiBiase, Mike DiStefano, and I will be revealing the top 50 players as voted on by our local experts across the Locked On NHL network of podcasts. Today, the show will cover the 41 to 50th ranked players. So subscribe to the Locked On NHL podcast on YouTube and turn your notifications on so that you never miss an episode. On today's show, we're going to talk about the two contracts that have been signed since we last spoke. Of course, the big one being Sean Couturier's extension for 8 years. And then the somewhat surprising one-year deal made with Derek Brassard. Then I will have a conversation with Jared Ellis from Locked On Hurricanes. And, we haven't seen the Canes in a while. And I thought it'd be good to catch up and see what they've been up to since last we saw them. And then it's Friday, so I will wrap up with a gritty thing of the week. Locked On Flyers is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Odyssey, wherever you are listening right now. Hit that subscribe button. Get all of our episodes here on the Locked On Sports Network. So the big news, as I just mentioned, was the Sean Couturier contract extension. I think Flyers fans were super excited when, kind of out of nowhere, the Flyers tweeted out the gif of Couturier smiling with, of course, that adorable gap in his front teeth there. And we all kind of knew what was coming, but what was it going to be? Well, Couturier extended his contract for 8 years. So he's got 1 year left remaining on his current contract. So this will take him through 2030, which is mind-blowing. Each year is worth $7.75 million AAV. It's got a full no movement until the last year of the contract, and then there's a limited no movement for 10 teams. And I'm just over the moon with this contract. I think that given the level of player that Couturier is, he's the team's number one center, and for a guy like that produces the way he does, that is one of the top two-way centers in the game, obviously been a Selke winner, been in the Selke conversation. He demanded a pretty high price tag. And so to get that level of a player for under $8 million a year, I think is amazing work by Chuck Fletcher and management there. And he said it himself that if you want a guy like this, you're going to have to give a little bit and pay a lot. And so I think the fact that they were able to negotiate where the AAV was at a reasonable level that Chuck Fletcher could work with in terms of building a team around him more successfully, and just give him the term in return, I think is absolutely worth it for a guy like Couturier. It'll bring him into his late 30s, which, again, is, I think, pretty typical for this level of player to have contracts that go pretty late. And I, again, am pretty thrilled with this. I think it also helps to know what he'll be making for that long term. So it helps plan around him. And again, leaves them room to fill out the roster with a little bit more money to spare. Obviously, we think the cap is going to go up after maybe next season or the season after, depending on how that financially goes with the league. But I'm just, again, really excited, really glad this is off their plate and we don't have to worry about it for the remainder of the season. The other signing that came to be was Derek Brassard. It is a one-year deal for $825,000. And, you know, he has had kind of a mixed bag the last few seasons, but has been pretty successful overall. Of course, I think one of the selling points for Brassard to sign with the Flyers was that he played with Alain Vigneault as a member of the New York Rangers. He's bounced around a lot. He's played for the Blue Jackets, also the Penguins and the Islanders. Most recently, he was with Arizona. Last year, he had 8 goals and 12 assists in 53 games. I think what they're looking for from Derek Brassard is to be that flexible depth player. He has a lot of experience, including playoffs, which is something that was important to Chuck Fletcher in getting a different look for the team this upcoming season. Brassard himself said that he's pretty happy to play third or fourth line. He'll play center or wing, and if they need him, he'll play on the power play, but all he wants to do is help the team, and you know, he'll take whatever role and usage it is. And he does have friends on the team. You know, he's got Cam Atkinson, Kevin Hayes, Keith Yandel. But he's also very excited to play with and not against Claude Giroux and Sean Couturier. He did also say that he had an offer from a West Coast team for a bit more money, but picked the Flyers because he thought the fit might be better. And again, because of his history with AV, I think that makes a lot of sense. I think what this means in the short term as far as the lineup goes is that the younger guys like a Morgan Frost, like a Tanner Laczynski, are going to have to work that much harder at camp to earn a spot because Brassard will be there. And I think they'll push each other, and I think it's good for the team overall. So even though it kind of gives me a little bit of consternation about, you know, wanting Morgan Frost to get that spot, I think he has to earn it. He absolutely has to earn it. So if having Brassard around is going to help the team from a depth perspective and also kind of give some of the kids a little bit of an extra push, I think that's a win-win situation. And I certainly don't think Derek Brassard is somebody that's going to cause the team any significant harm. So I'm okay with having this deal be added to the list. Chuck Fletcher had a presser that I mentioned a couple of quotes from, but he had a couple other things to say that I thought were important. With Claude Giroux's contract, they are going to see how the season plays out before they make a deal. We know that his contract is expiring at the end of next season as well. And so he and Coots were the big question marks, I think, going into the next set of big negotiations. And we have one taken care of, and the other one isn't going to happen until likely after next season, which I think is okay. I think it'll work out. He also confirmed that they'll probably only have a maximum of 22 roster spots due to the cap situation, and that both Morgan Frost and Tanner Laczynski, who had surgeries this past summer, should be good to go by camp. And with all of that, when I come back, we'll have my conversation with Jared Ellis of the Locked On Hurricanes podcast. It's that time of year again, and all eyes are now turning to football as teams are back on the gridiron to start the season. As always, BetOnline is your number one spot for all the pro and college action this season. Get all the updated odds, props, and contests, including online's biggest $500,000 NFL mega contest and the world's largest $200,000 NFL Survivor contest open now at BetOnline. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today to receive your 100% welcome bonus with the promo code LOCKEDON. Be sure to take advantage of their opening day super promo. Make a bet on the Thursday, September 9th season opener between the Super Bowl champion Buccaneers and the Dallas Cowboys. And if you lose, your wager will be refunded up to $25 for new customers only when signing up and using the promo code NFL100. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. Football, basketball, boxing, right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait and take advantage of all the offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts. Does this sound familiar? You've got one device that lets you catch the game live, another that lets you stream your favorite shows, you're watching sports highlights on your phone, and you've got your neighbor's best friend's login for the good stuff. I want to tell you about a simpler way to get all that entertainment you love without the hassle, and a great way to finally get your TV together. It's called DirecTV Stream, and it brings your live TV and on-demand favorites together like never before, so you can watch your favorite sports, movies, and shows all in one place. That means no more juggling remotes and no need to buy another device ever again. And the best part, there's no annual contract. So get rid of your clutter and the confusion. Get your TV together with DirecTV Stream. You can learn more at directtv.com. That's directtv.com. Compatible device required. Content varies by package. All right. So like I said at the top of the show, I am so excited to welcome Jared Ellis from Locked On Hurricanes to talk all things Carolina. Welcome, Jared.
Hi, how are you?
Doing pretty good. You know, I think in some ways, we as Flyers fans were really grateful to not have to play Carolina this past season, but I'm also kind of happy to have you back because it's always fun playing Carolina. And there's always, you know, especially with the Rod Brind'Amour connection, there's always some good stuff to talk about. So from your end of that divisional realignment, like how did you like being in a different division than usual? And did you miss us in the Metro? You excited to come back?
Oh yeah. Obviously, excited, for things, to get back to normal and play now 31 other teams. But I'll be honest, I did like the divisions we had last year. Not necessarily for the aspect of, playing the same team 8 times a season. Yeah, that got boring. But I really liked the regional aspects of the divisions that we had. Because, for the Central Division, for the most part, it really brought back memories of the old Southeast Division from back in the day. So that was really fun. I enjoyed the regional aspects of it. But I'm excited to be able to play all the other teams like you guys, the Penguins, Capitals. Really excited to see what we do against the Kraken, all that stuff.
Yeah, I always forget the division shuffled around a little bit for Carolina back in the day. And there was that old Southeast division, and then there was the Northeast division for a while, as they called it.
Yeah.
So, but for the Hurricanes season this past year, it was kind of like an abrupt halt, given that you kind of ran into the juggernaut that was the Tampa Bay Lightning with their repeat Stanley Cup. Now that there's been a little bit of time to think about it, how are Canes fans feeling about how this past season went? And are you satisfied with it?
I feel, there's obviously going to be fans that absolutely loved it, fans that absolutely hated it. You're going to have, all those people regardless of the team or sport for that matter. But I think as a whole, I think the fans were satisfied in the regular season, but I think in the postseason is where the disappointment kind of kicked in when we got to Tampa. I don't think anyone is surprised that Tampa repeated. They're a hell of a team. All the salary cap jokes aside, they're very, very talented. And they're definitely, when that was going on, there a lot of people that were upset of how Tampa was using that loophole to bring in their superstars. While we're not surprised Tampa beat us, because again, Tampa is really good, kind of figured it'd be a little more competitive, maybe go in 6 or 7 games, not 5 games. I think that's where the disappointment kicked in of just, it was a 5-game series against Tampa. But I think as a whole, we raised, another division championship banner. I know that people have, said, that's like a Nashville move of raising a banner or whatever. We won the division, just like Pittsburgh won the East, Colorado won the West, Toronto won the North. everybody won their divisions. It wasn't like it was a regular season champion banner, like Nashville did. But I think, at the end of the day, it was a good season. It's just postseason was a little disappointing.
Yeah, I'm with you on that banner situation. A divisional banner is legit. Put it up if you want to. If there's room in the building, right?
Yeah. I mean, they made the shirts for literally every team that won the division.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely fair. So looking a little bit forward from that to this off season, one of the biggest things that the Canes had to do was extend Rod Brind'Amour's contract, which they were able to accomplish. And I definitely think that's good for the team overall. But what were the biggest needs for the team on the ice? And do you think they were able to accomplish those goals?
Yeah, I definitely agree with Rod Brind'Amour, getting re-signed. That was a huge, huge thing for the Hurricanes. He's really helped rebuild this team. And there was never any doubt he was going to leave. He's been here for over 20 years as player, front office, coach. He lives here. He wasn't going anywhere. But as far as on the ice goes, the biggest needs were definitely goaltending, Dougie, and then getting a top six forward, to really amp up the scoring. And obviously, I'm sure we'll talk about it in a bit with Dougie, that was obviously not done. Goaltending, that was extremely frustrating this offseason. I don't know why the Hurricanes felt that they shouldn't re-sign Alex Nedeljkovic, because he was asking for like 2 or 3 years at $3.5 million. They offered him like 2 years at 1.5. I don't understand that. I know they were concerned with some holes in his game and whatnot, because he had a really small sample size for the regular season, which is understandable. I get that. But you just threw away your entire future in goaltending for two guys on the wrong side of 30 that are very injury prone, with Frederik Andersen and Antti Raanta, which, if they can stay healthy, I'm okay with it. I'm not necessarily sold on it, but I'm okay with it. But yeah, I don't know how I feel about that, because if they can't stay healthy, oh boy, we're going to have a fun season this year. I would have been fine if they just got one of those guys and kept Ned, or they kept Peter, or however they did it. But yeah, it's just now their future in goaltending, they're banking on two injury-prone guys over 30. So that's frustrating, because Ned took less than he wanted in Detroit. So that's slap in the face there. I had to think of a PG way to say that. But then as far as like the forward, they've really done nothing in regards to that. Getting that extra little oomph, there on the offensive side of things. They're really banking on their guys to step it up, which on one hand, I'm okay with that. If you feel Aho, Svechnikov, Teravainen, Trocheck, Niederreiter, Necas, if you feel those guys, can step it up, that's great. And because you look at, especially that first line of Aho, Teravainen, and Svechnikov, for the most part, every single season of their careers, they've stepped it up season after season. So I get that. But it's just one of those things now with Hamilton being out, you don't have that insurance policy or just that extra or just that other guy that can really just put the puck in the back of the net. So that's a little concerning there. I mean, obviously it's pro sports. Anything can happen. Within this recording, they could make a move or whatever. I obviously tout that, but it's just those needs. I'm not sold on their decisions of what they did this offseason.
You talked a little bit about the Dougie Hamilton situation. Do you think they ever really had a shot at re-signing him, or was there just this point where that ship had sailed and the team kind of became more focused on replacing him?
Oh, I absolutely think there was a really good shot of him resigning here. Because he had said that he felt at home here. And the fans really embraced him. He was given a substantial role. If you kind of look in Boston and Calgary, he just didn't fit. And here he did. He really fit. He found a home, and he played damn good hockey here. And so I absolutely think there was a chance at the team re-signing him. I really think that he would have been willing to take a little bit of a discount to stay here. Jordan Martinook did the exact same thing, just to stay here, just to play where he wanted to play. As he said, see this through. He'd been here since the start of the rebuild, and he wanted to see it through. And I felt Dougie was kind of in the same boat. I really think it started to set sail probably towards the 11th hour of when free agency was set to begin. Because they definitely lowballed him. I think they offered him 7 years at $6.5 million. I think that's when the ship sailed. I think it set sail when they offered him $6.5 million. I think that's when it was. I think, he really wanted to be here, but they just weren't willing to do it. I think you could have. I get these first this season. I think next season as well. I get that'd be a little tough because of the flat cap. But after that, salary cap goes back to normal. I think you could have structured it in a way. Obviously, I'm not a professional. I don't know the ins and outs of that stuff. But I think you could have structured it in a certain way to where, you would have been, in the right range, for this season, next season. Then after that, his AAV goes up, and then he's really getting paid. That top 5 NHL defenseman money. I think they could have done that, but they didn't. And that really sucks. And like I said, I don't think they've done enough to replace him on the offensive side of things.
With the ever-increasing numbers of makes and models, it's now impossible for your local chain auto parts store to stock all the parts you need. Why endure often pointless or seemingly intimidating questioning and wait while the person behind the counter orders the parts on their computer, choosing the only brand their warehouse happens to carry? You have access to RockAuto.com at home and in your pocket. Save tons of time and money by using RockAuto.com. They're a family business. They've been serving auto parts customers online for 20 years, so I know I can trust them. Go to RockAuto.com to shop for auto and body parts from hundreds of manufacturers. They have everything from engine control modules to brake parts, tail lamps, motor oil, even new carpet. You can get everything you need in a few easy clicks delivered directly to your door. Best of all, prices at RockAuto.com are always reliably low, and the same for professionals and do-it-yourselfers. Go to RockAuto.com right now and see all the parts available for your car or truck. Write Locked On in their How Did You Hear About Us box so that they know we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need at RockAuto.com. If you've been listening to Locked On Flyers, you know how much I love Built Bar. And if you are not familiar, Built Bars are a soft protein bar, but they taste just like candy bars. And I don't know how they do it, but they have so many amazing flavors to choose from. There's something for everyone, no matter what your tastes are. Some of my personal favorites are the raspberry, coconut, cherry barcia, salted caramel, mint brownie. You can see how many amazing flavors they have. But the best part is that they're healthy. Built Bar is great if you're looking to lose or maintain weight while indulging in that delicious treat. They are an amazing combination of being low calorie, low sugar, high protein, and high fiber. And, if you're on a special diet, these will fit right in, especially with a keto plan. So go to BuiltBar.com and use the promo code LOCKED15 and you'll get 15% off your next order. That's promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at BuiltBar.com. You mentioned Jordan Martinook. I thought that was definitely one of the better moves that Carolina made. Getting that 3-year contract for him, and then acquiring Ethan Bear, I thought was another good move. He's a real solid player, and I think that he'll be able to contribute a lot.
Yeah, I definitely like the Ethan Bear addition. The fans have really taken him this offseason as well, so I'm excited to see what he does this this season, excuse me. And Jordan Martinook, yeah, he, especially when we lost Brock McGinn to Pittsburgh, getting him back was an absolute must. Yeah, he's not a guy that's going to score 50 goals a season or anything like that. He is a third and fourth line grinder. But yeah, he's an extremely physical presence, which the Hurricanes need. And he is extremely vital part of the locker room and the culture that the Hurricanes have built. Yeah, he learned a lot in Arizona under Shane Doan there, and he has that letter on the front of his jersey for a reason. I think he's going to have a lot to do this season because there's so much turnover in the locker room, and I am a little bit worried about team chemistry just with so many new people. And I think him, Slavin, and Stahl are really going to have a lot of work to do on the team leadership side of things this year.
Yeah, it really should be interesting. And I always hate it. We had like 2 significant moves that happened in division. It was McGinn to Pittsburgh, and then of course Hamilton to the Devils. I'm like, come on, can these guys leave, please? Mm-hmm. If they're not going to stay on their existing teams. But
right.
I suppose they all have to play somewhere, I guess.
Yeah, I'm obviously glad Dougie got the bag because, man, yeah, his bank account's looking nice now. So obviously wish him all the best up in New Jersey. And then Brock, yeah, I'm glad to see him go to Pittsburgh because, he's going to be able to play on a really good team up there. Yeah, I think Pittsburgh maybe towards the end of their run at the top of the NHL. But they definitely still have a little bit of juice left in the tank. So it'll be nice to see what he can do up there.
You talked a little bit about the new goaltending tandem that you have going with Anderson and Ranta. A third goaltender, because it wasn't even just the NHL tandem, you're kind of back up to that. You signed our old pal, Alex Lyon, and who got a little bit of play with the Flyers this past season. He'll probably spend a lot of time or most of the time in the AHL, but I'm glad to see him go to a good spot just because Alex is an amazing guy, super fun, and also a pretty reliable third option.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what he can do. It wouldn't surprise me if he gets some time up in the NHL this year. I haven't personally seen a whole bunch of play from him, but from what I have seen, what I have heard from folks, I am excited to see what he can do for us. Like I said, I think he's probably going to get some time in the NHL this year. With both of the guys that we're going to have being pretty injury prone. He has a really good goaltending coach there in Chicago with Jason Muzzatti. So I'm excited to see what he can do and see how he can progress here with us.
All right. Once again, thank you to Jared Ellis of Locked On Hurricanes for joining the show. We will have part 2 of my conversation with Jared on Monday's show. Since we got the Couturier news, obviously some of that time today had to go to talk about the new contract and everything. So I'm excited to bring you part 2 of that conversation on Monday. Wrapping up with our gritty thing of the week. Not a ton of gritty content, but what we got was amazing as always. The first was a Hit Me Up Jeopardy, where after all the drama going on at Jeopardy, of course, Gritty throws his hat in the ring to be the new host of the show. Honestly, at this point, somebody who can't talk might be a good option. The next one is not official, but there was a piece of street art that happened that involved some orange traffic cones that somebody drew a chalk Gritty around, which is absolutely incredible. Definitely check the link out to that one, if any of these this week. And then the last one, of course, related to the Sean Couturier contract. A little fun video, obviously, from Media Promo in times gone by, but it's Gritty and Sean Couturier exchanging hats, and it's pretty goofy and fun. So take a look at that one as well. Thanks for listening to today's show. We'll be back again on Monday, like I said, with part 2 of that conversation with Jared Ellis over at Locked On Hurricanes. As a reminder, we always want to hear from you. Send in your mailbag questions via Twitter at Locked On Flyers, or you can email the show at lockedonflyers@gmail.com. I'm Rachel. I'm on Twitter at rmiriam. That's RMIRIAM. Thanks again for listening, and have a great weekend. Betting on the NHL doesn't have to be a guessing game if you listen to the Locked On Bets podcast hosted by your boy Q and handicapping expert Lee Sterling. Get daily picks, blowout specials, wrong team favored picks, and Lee Sterling's lock of the day. Follow the Locked On Bets podcast brought to you by betonline.ag wherever you get your podcasts.